From Europe to America, today's stories are about wars, battles, fallen soldiers, and the supernatural things that happen, which even the most critical and logical person present at the moment can't explain. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we'll be taking a look at 3 mysterious wartime stories. The Angels That Appeared at War. Our first wartime story dates back to 1914 in Old Britain. This is during the time in which the British were at war with the Germans, a rising superpower. The British Expeditionary Force was at the edge of defeat. They were trying to fight an enemy that only kept getting stronger and stronger. At this point, they were left with no choice but to keep moving east in order to stay alive. The British soldiers were some of the best and most highly trained in the world. They could bring down an army or dismantle whatever obstacle you threw at them. However, they had reached a point where their spirits were spiraling down. They had been fleeing from Germans for a long time, fatigued, exhausted, hungry, and with many of them injured. Any strong army, when put in the same situation, would surely give in to exhaustion. As the Germans kept chasing them, the British forces found themselves in the Belgian city of Mons, a ghostly town with very few living residents. This is where things started to get a little strange for the soldiers. Soldiers are known to be typically logical thinkers. They exude bravery and toughness, and ordinary people look up to them because of their physical and mental prowess. However, when British soldiers arrived at the Belgian city, they experienced something supernatural that made them rethink just how logical they could be after seeing such a paranormal scene. Caught in a corner, the British soldiers still refused to surrender, even though they knew that they were outnumbered, and that their enemy had far more ammunition than they did. Needless to say, they were ready to die then and there. They kept firing and running as Germans kept advancing, when all of a sudden a miracle happened right in front of their eyes. All the soldiers, British and German, started to see ghostly men riding horses, wearing armours and carrying bows and arrows, ready to defend the underdog. Both the British and Germans were extremely confused as to what was happening. They described the men that appeared as looking and sounding like the soldiers from a major British victory in a battle during the 100 Years' War, nearly 5 centuries back. However, things got even more strange when tall winged beings appeared and stopped the German forces from coming after the escaping British. These beings that were described by angels as people that saw them firsthand used their supernatural powers to save the British soldiers from certain death in the hands of their enemies. In the aftermath, nurses and doctors were shocked to hear about what happened. What's even more astonishing is one of the angels was described as St. George, the patron saint of England. When more and more soldiers corroborate the details of the sighting, people started to think that maybe they were telling the truth. Angels and an army from heaven came down to save the British Expeditionary Force at the Belgian city of Mons. A strange story told by one or maybe a few people might be dismissed as fiction or as made up. But if it's told by baffled battalions from opposing forces of an ongoing war, that's definitely something else. Ghosts of the American Civil War. The terrors of combat and death all around are enough to haunt a battleground for hundreds of years. This next ghost story is about the biggest war in America, the American Civil War, which lasted from 1861 to 1865. The American Civil War was essentially all about the conflict between the northern part, which is loyal to the Union, and the southern part, which wanted to break free and form a Confederate. Known as the largest battle in North America, the Battle of Gettysburg is quite legendary. It's full of ghost stories, including that from the soldiers' orphanage cellar. Even ghost hunters and psychics are scared to explore this extremely haunted house, considering the stories told by people who experience paranormal activities in this building. It was used as a home for children and widows of soldiers who died in battle. It's said that the headmistress, Rosa J. Carmichael, was a violent woman who imposed cruel punishment on children, usually done in the dungeon. Another notorious American Civil War building is the Her Tavern. It was built in 1815 and was used as the first Confederate hospital. This place was where wounded soldiers were brought. Often, doctors and nurses would perform so many amputations in one day that they would just throw the limbs out of the window to be disposed of later. Soldiers would often die hours or days after. Rumour has it that 4 of the Her Tavern guest rooms are haunted. All the rooms are numbered, but there's no room number 13. The Gettysburg is still haunted by the battles and deaths that occurred during the American Civil War. Many local residents still report ghost sightings and even ghost battles in and around Pennsylvania. Up to the present day, there are more than 5 companies that offer ghost tours in Gettysburg, some seasonally and others year-round. One of the most popular ghost stories relating to the American Civil War is the ghost of President Abraham Lincoln. Dozens of people, including family and close friends of Lincoln himself, have reported seeing him in different spots inside the White House. In fact, the sightings have been so prevalent that Harry Truman ordered the White House to be renovated. Even the Queen admitted to fainting after seeing Lincoln in his top hat. His ghost was also reportedly seen at the Lincoln bedroom, in the Oval, and even right outside the White House. The Phantom Battle of Edgehill. This story dates back to 1642. It all started when King Charles I finally decided to send his troops against the forces of the Parliament. At this point he was fed up with the disagreement between himself and the government. About 30,000 soldiers clashed in battle, and it was a bloody and gruesome one. However, as horrible as the aftermath was, there wasn't a clear winner. After 3 hours of fighting, the battle was deemed inconclusive, and both parties took heavy blows as they lost thousands of men for nothing. As strange as it sounds, this wasn't the last of the Battle of Edgehill. 2 months after the combat, just before Christmas of 1642, there was a report of a ghostly reenactment of the battle. The account was from a group of shepherds who appeared to be passing over the battlefield. According to them, they heard voices and sounds of horses, clashing armours and cries of men in pain and agony. This group of shepherds, unable to contain the mystery within themselves, decided to share their story with a local priest. Apparently, the priest witnessed the reenactment himself. There have been numerous sightings of the battle reenactment from different people in the following month, January of 1643. At this time, a pamphlet was released detailing the ghostly story, entitled A Great Wonder in Heaven. As the Phantom Battle of Edgehill gained more attention from the public, the news reached the king. He then sent a royal commission to investigate the matter. The commissioners were shocked to witness for themselves the terrifying apparitions of the battle's reenactments. They were even able to identify some of the soldiers who fought in the battle, including Sir Edmund Verney. This soldier didn't give up the standard that it took for his arm to be cut off and for it to be taken away from him by the royalists. The villagers, terrified and wanting the apparitions to stop, gathered together to come up with a solution for their common problem. At the end of the meeting, they all agreed to give a proper Christian burial to all of the dead bodies that laid on the battlefield 3 months after the battle. After the mass burial, the sightings stopped. Nevertheless, some strange sounds and apparitions will still happen from time to time, such as eerie screams, cannons blasting, and battle cries, especially during the battle's anniversary. Whether or not you believe in ghosts is definitely out of the question. In Edgehill, an entire village, people of high ranks in the government, and the king himself will witness the reenactments. It's hard to imagine the massiveness of this scene, but if you come to think of it, it is supernatural and almost magnificent. It's like watching a video of a battle on an endless loop. These 3 mysterious wartime stories might be dismissed by some as a figment of imagination, as tales with no truth to them, or just fictions made up by bored people living in a time when the invention of the internet was centuries away. But for many individuals who saw the paranormal activities in these battlegrounds and buildings, these are nothing short of being part of world history. So what do you make of these mysterious wartime stories? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and help us by growing this community, whilst working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.